You know, I always said that I wanted to work for myself and like I wanted independence. I could have gotten a job as a lawyer at like some big firm, could have been making $250,000 a year if I wanted to. But like, I don't want to. Do you think I want to work 20 hours a day, like reviewing documents? Fuck no. I want to live my life. I want to be here in Miami and on a podcast. I always knew that content is king, but like content in one way is going to be what drives markets in the future. Like obviously the more content you make, the more ability you have to monetize. I was here in Miami. I was on a bachelor party and it was like 2021 and I got a call from an old intern. Called me like panicked, freaking out, Alex, I need help. My girlfriend, she's stuck in this really bad contract. And I'm like, what? Like I'm drunk as shit. I don't even know what club I was at. I was like, I can't process this right now. Yeah. I said, leave me alone, call me tomorrow. And he did. And I was like, all right, what's going on? And I got the situation and it was like, all right, well, I don't really know anything about this. I don't know anything about OnlyFans, but bad contract's a bad contract. Let me take a look. I took a look and I was like, okay, I think there is a way out here. I mean, this might be news to people that are watching and I'm sorry to ruin OnlyFans for you, but you were not talking to whoever you're subscribing. Maybe you are, you know, there's a couple that do, but you were talking to a dude in the Philippines.
Get ready for an insightful dive into the world of law and digital content. From groundbreaking work with OnlyFans creators to a unique approach to legal practice, join us as we unravel the secrets to success. We'll explore some fascinating legal stories, including controversial wins and losses, and share perspectives with a lawyer who is reshaping the legal landscape. Alex, welcome to MBH, baby.
Welcome back to the MBH podcast. Money buys happiness. Guys, of course, appreciate you. Wow. Appreciate you. I'm fucking autistic. Appreciate you tapping in. First and foremost, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, leave a comment on the video. Follow us on Snapchat, exclusive content there. Merch drop is coming. If not, maybe it's live right now. mbhtv.com, you know where to go. Did I say everything?
And we're in Miami, if you couldn't notice.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. We're in Miami. Just living the dream. Living the dream here.
I love this place. I'm never leaving. I know we have to leave, but I'm not.
I'm not leaving.
Alex, welcome to MBH, baby.
Good to see you guys.
What's going on,
We've
bro?
seen you a bunch this weekend.
I know, we've seen me a lot. Looking forward to that merch drop too.
100%. You got us some merch too.
Yes,
appreciate
of course,
you.
Yes.
The boys were already rocking it last night.
I saw that. I love it.
They were repping. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank
nice
you.
to have you in Miami.
Yes.
Like you said, I don't want to leave here either.
Yeah.
Dude,
who does? Once you come here, you're like, I'm not fucking going
There's
anywhere.
no point in leaving.
Yeah.
Like this is the place to be.
I mean, we're gonna
100%.
talk about it for sure because we always talk about it. You know, a lot of our friends and family back home or people that just follow us, they're always like, yo, like what's with Miami? Like why Miami? Like why are you guys always going there? So we're gonna get into that too. Would love to hear your opinion. But maybe for anyone who doesn't know you or your background, give us a little intro as to who you are.
Right. So, you know me, Alex Lomstein. I'm an attorney based out of New York and Miami right now. I'm going back and forth.
Okay.
But I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, DC, and Alaska of all places.
Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a story behind that too.
Okay.
But I have my traditional practice, my traditional law practice up there where I'm doing criminal defense, real estate, whatever, general practice, all that good stuff.
Okay.
But I got my start doing copyright litigation for the UFC. And that's how this kind of cascaded into what I'm doing now with specifically the OnlyFans like realm and became OnlyFirm because the copyright just kind of made sense. It was like, why would this cover this kind of content but not this kind of content?
Okay. So in terms of the UFC, like what were you doing exactly? Like what does that mean? What you said?
And how'd that start?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, how it started, I think you can go back to the 90s. So even before that, though, my family, I'm a fourth generation attorney in my family. I think my great uncle, I'm not even sure who started it, but like it goes back to 1930. Then it was my grandfather. And then my grandfather hired my uncle, his son, and my father married my mother, and then who was an attorney, and then brought her into the practice. So my uncle and my mother are law partners in New York. And what they were doing is back in the days with like cable, like we could splice cable and you can get like, a feed that you're not paying for on your TV. Like that's how it started.
Okay.
And they were doing, investigations and catching bars and restaurants that were splicing cable or stealing satellite signals, things like that.
Wow.
For pay-per-view boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just developed over time, and now they do that for the UFC, and I was doing that with them. So I was fourth generation doing that, and it was anti-piracy for the UFC, which they still do, and I help out.
Okay, so general practice is pretty much you can cover multiple different areas.
So like if someone says they're general practice, that means when you're like in a small town where I am like currently based out of, yeah, you cover everything because there's not that many attorneys. You can't say I'm looking for, I don't know, a criminal defense attorney or a real estate attorney. You could, and they exist, I'm sure, but like most people are general practice because there's not enough people to specialize or focus on one thing. If you're gonna make a living, you need to kind of like spread your wings a little bit.
That makes sense. And I guess you kind of knew this was the route you were taking based on your family.
I never had a fucking choice. I mean, like I think about that. I think about that often. I was like, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But like, you know, I always knew I was gonna go to law school, even in high school and shit. And like, I was always known. I'm like in this little town, like, yeah, he's gonna be a lawyer one day. Like, I never even thought of anything different. Like, I was like, I guess this is already picked out for me.
Of course.
But like, I don't know. Would I have liked to do something else?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because you're still super young, and like I feel like you've done a lot in the practice in the legal world, right?
I mean, like I like to think that.
Like how long have you been in it?
I've been practicing for 5 years.
Yeah.
But like I've been involved with law in one shape, way or another, I don't know, pretty much my whole life. I grew up in a law firm, right?
Yeah.
My mother, I was going after school, I'd go to the office and I'd watch her work. So like, and I like one of my first jobs is I'm filing, you know, files in their office. So whether I wanted to or not, it was like just something I was kind of like groomed, for lack of a better word. Into.
Yes. But talk about maybe like even your mindset, because even we spoke off cam and you're like, you know, I'm not too good with having a boss. I'm not too good with having like an authority, like stuff like that. So did you already kind of think that you would go off and do your own thing eventually?
You know, I always said that I wanted to work for myself and like I wanted independence. But yeah, I never followed orders well. I didn't like being told you have to do things a certain way in order to get a certain result. I think that's bullshit, and I kind of live my life by that. I think there's always a way to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you can do it your way if you're creative enough and if you have the drive to do it. But obviously, you got to put the work into to get that.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big product of how I was raised, and like also my mother was a big example like that. She's like that too, where it's like you're not telling her what to do.
Sick.
And we go at it a lot, even at work. Sometimes we'll be screaming at each other in the office. That's just what we do.
Yeah.
But that was an example, and I think it was a good example because, you know, I could have gotten a job as a lawyer at like some big firm, could have been making $250,000 a year if I wanted to, but like, I don't want to. Do you think I want to work 20 hours a day, like reviewing documents? Fuck no. I want to live my life. I want to be here in Miami and on a podcast, right? This is already more fun. And this is technically work for me.
Yep, it's true. So, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I want to ask, like, okay, so you're working for the family firm, and obviously you've made a jump now, which we'll get into, but like, was that always the idea, or did you think like, oh, I'm going to, you know, help grow this and maybe be the biggest in our area, our town, maybe bring it to Manhattan? What was the idea?
Yeah, I don't know, because what happened was I actually did struggle out of law school finding a job. Okay. Because I wasn't the best student. Like, I'm the first to admit that. I was having too much fun. I was in Manhattan. I was partying. I was like, as long as I like pass, I don't know what the fuck do I care, right? Like, I knew there was a job waiting for me if I couldn't get a job somewhere else at my family's firm. Yeah. And you know, but I did get a job, some like workers' comp agency, I don't know, or like employment law, and I hated it. It was disgusting. I wanted nothing to do with it. But went home and during COVID, or right before COVID. Okay. But I always knew that at some point, one shape or way or another, I was going to end up working at my family's firm, because how can I not? Like, that's set up for you. Yep. I kind of like ignored that existed for a long time because I like resisted it. But when I embraced it, I was like, okay, my time's done in New York City. I had enough, hate it there. I'm going to move home and I'm going to do this for a while and see what happens. And I didn't like really think much more than like, you know, a couple months ahead at a time. Okay. But COVID happened and that flipped everything upside down.
It's funny you say that, because I feel like a lot of people that we talk to who come from a business or come from a lineage of entrepreneurs, let's say, and maybe their parents or their grandparents own a company or a business of whatever size. At the beginning, they always want to be like, I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to do my own thing. Like, fuck it, whatever. And sometimes that works out, which is fair. But a lot of times, like we had these conversations and they say, the minute I started embracing like my family business and realizing like I'm next up, like the foundation was already set, right? So now if you just bring a fresh perspective to it, the young ideas and things, like where you could take that company, Who knows? Because you understand the modern version of marketing. You understand who the new target demographic could be. You understand because also the internet, and you've probably traveled more than your parents, things like that, where you're like, okay, I could bring the practice to this city, to that city. And at the end of the day, you're younger and you're hungrier. Right?
I agree 100%. Yeah, I resisted it for a long time. I'm sure. Yeah, it sounds like everybody else is in that boat too.
For sure.
Because you want your own identity. And I can understand that. You're painted in a certain light that you're going to be the product that your parents molded you into. And you know what? When you stop resisting that, or you could resist it your whole life and do your own thing, which is great. You know,
for sure.
But when you realize that the business that it was is different than the business that it could be, and it's going to be what you make it.
Yep.
I know that there's a saying where it's like the first generation creates, the second generation enjoys, and the third generation destroys.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Like, I don't necessarily believe that, but there is a lot of truth to
Of
that.
course.
And, you know,
Absolutely.
because some people just use it as like a piggy bank. But, well, I think because I'm fourth generation, I'm already past that. But
Yeah,
like,
true.
You're in the first cycle again.
yeah,
now.
right. So, but like, you know, but it is an opportunity, like with that to rebuild it or reshape it in whatever I want. That didn't happen. That could still happen. You know, I'm still like involved peripherally. I like lend support when it's appropriate, and obviously I'm like extra manpower. But you know, eventually I did take it and make it into my own variation of it.
Yes.
You know.
So you are the OnlyFans lawyer.
Yeah.
You started OnlyFirm,
I did.
which again, we spoke about this yesterday. Dude, the brand, what a fucking brand, by the way.
You know, the best thoughts, I swear, come in the shower. I was just in the shower and I was like, this makes sense. Holy shit, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And then I went and I applied for the trademark immediately. And then I made the LLC. And
So
everything.
smart.
Yeah.
So smart, because it's like in what you want to do with it, what a brand. But I want to actually now get into that business and understand that. How did the idea even come? I know you mentioned the UFC stuff and the copyright and what your family's doing there, but like, it in my eyes, it's genius, and I'm very surprised no one has kind of jumped on it, or maybe to the extent that I know of.
You know, I've seen a couple other lawyers online like briefly talk about it, but I don't think that they're really like making that a priority for themselves. And I can understand why, because it is an inherent risk also.
Yeah.
But as far as like, how did I, can you rephrase?
Yeah. So
like,
how did the idea come? And when did you say, okay, fuck it, I'm going all in with
Like
this?
why
Right,
OnlyFans? You know?
right.
Yeah.
So I always knew that content is king. Content in one shape, I've said that like 3 times, but like content in one way is going to be what drives markets in the future. Like obviously, the more content you make, the more ability you have to monetize it. So I knew that from the UFC stuff, and I kind of started thinking about it as like, well, OnlyFans is really what they're doing is just creating content. How it's consumed and how it's paid for is up to the consumer, obviously, and up to the creator and how they market that. But I kind of always had the idea in the back of my head is like, I knew that the applications that we had for copyright enforcement for the UFC could be applied to pornography and later on OnlyFans. I actually got into it, though, was I was here in Miami. I was on a bachelor party, and it was like 2021. You know, it was like that weird phase where people are still wearing masks, aren't wearing masks. But like in Florida, nobody was wearing masks. So I was like, man, this is great. Yeah. You know, in New York, it's just like, you can't go into
Toronto.
a fucking deli without wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I got a call from an old intern that was an intern at my office.
Okay.
And he said, called me like panicked, freaking out. Alex, I need help. My girlfriend, she's stuck in this really bad contract. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm drunk as shit. I don't even know what club I was at. I was like, I can't process this right now.
Yeah.
I said, leave me alone, call me tomorrow. And he did. And I was like, all right, what's going on? And I got the situation, and it was like, all right, well, I don't really know anything about this. I don't know anything about OnlyFans, but bad contract's a bad contract. Let me take a look. I took a look, and I was like, okay, I think there is a way out here. And, you know, we figured it out. We got out, and I was like, great. Well, so what are you going to do now? And she goes, well, I'm going to set up my own management agency. I'm going to set up, you know, and do all these things. I said, that's great. Like, do you know what an LLC is? Do you know what an EIN number is? She goes, no, I have no idea what that is. I said, I think you need to hire me and to get you organized. And she did. And for a while, I was helping her out exclusively. And then it kind of took a life of its own from there.
Okay. In terms of like helping, I want to like give the audience some sort of perspective to that.
Right. So like when I say helping, like I was consulting,
Okay.
establishing the correct corporate entities, you know, making sure that you're getting those EIN numbers, setting up the LLC, you know, making sure that like all your ducks are in a row so that when you go out and actually practice business in whatever capacity she was doing, that she was doing it correctly. She was set up to pay taxes and all things like that. Connecting her with accountants. So like I was like a consigliere in the sense that like I'm connecting you with everyone you need to be connected with.
Yeah.
And it's more of a consulting, honestly, than it is
For sure.
as practicing an attorney.
Yeah.
But like I was like consulting, like this is what you need to do. So I'm to be an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's, sorry, quickly,
Yeah.
but it was, I feel like that's when it comes to like connecting with a lawyer, they always say like in business, you need a good lawyer and a good accountant. And I feel like people don't understand that, like, they don't understand that saying in terms of like what you're saying, where you're like a consigliere, where you're like, I'm setting you up with everybody. And I'm going to consult to set you up for success, get the ducks in order, build the foundation so you can actually practice your business properly.
Correct.
Right?
Right. Like I'm going to make sure you have everything you need and you have every resource you need, you know, but this way you can just focus solely on doing your job and doing what you're trying to do.
Yes.
So that when you run into an issue down the line, it's like, okay, how do we handle that? We have a structure in place, because you can't predict everything. It's impossible. I can't predict everything, but I can predict a lot of things that I see happen quite often.
True.
You know, so how do we, you know, leverage ourselves or position ourselves so that when an inevitable thing happens or occurs, that we're very capable in, I don't know what the word is, but like maneuvering whatever challenges find us.
Yes.
True.
Makes
So
sense.
that was your first client.
That was my first client.
And then from there, you're like, okay, maybe I could have struck gold here.
Yeah, but it didn't hit me like immediately.
Okay.
Right? That was my first client, and that was in 2021, and I did that for her until like 2022, like a year and a half exclusively. That was my only OnlyFans client. I still had my like traditional practice doing traffic tickets, DWIs, armed robberies, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and the money from that actually, you know, from that helped build my traditional practice to the point of where it's at now.
Wow.
So it was very helpful, but very insightful. And then when I stopped working, like at Sunset, it didn't need me as much anymore. Totally fine. Happy to see that. Like, good luck. You know, just focus on your OnlyFans, do your thing, and make money. And if you need me, give me a call. And we still have that relationship. Love her to death. She'll call me, you know, say like, hey, I need this. Happy to do it. You know, so it's a good relationship. It wasn't like anything went wrong.
Okay.
But for a while, I focused on like my traditional law practice and went fine. And it still is. It's growing.
And that was with the family.
No, this one was
That's
just
separate.
So, like,
okay.
Yeah. So like during COVID, I had to create my own entity also, which was and still exists as the law offices of Alexander Lonstein. And that's like a New York based law firm that handles like traditional law.
Okay.
Yes.
And I did that because my mom had to fire me during COVID.
Oh, you told me this.
Yeah.
Your mom fired you.
My mom fired me.
Like, imagine getting fired from your own mom, man. Like, how did like? Okay,
gave
we
her
gotta
so
we
much
gotta do a sidetrack here
Yeah.
just for this story. Like,
Oh yeah.
and then we'll hop back on. But how does your mom fire you?
My mom is a very talented businesswoman, and I
so
can
crazy.
Talented is amazing.
talented and also like knows what needs to be done.
Okay.
I guess I was just dead weight, and she was like, "Alex, get the fuck out of here."
Wow.
But I'll see you for dinner because I was living at home at the time.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it wasn't awkward. I didn't care. I get it, right?
Do you
Like,
think that was kind of like a blessing for you though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Looking back now.
Yeah, because so it was at the beginning of COVID. I remember like we had a conversation last month because it was like March 17th, like 2020, and that's when like shit hit the fan. We were like, okay, like
Okay.
what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah.
But that business, the UFC copyright enforcement and, you know, anti-piracy business, it is dependent on bars and restaurants being open. If there's no one that exists to steal the content, then there's no business to be had.
Makes so much sense.
So me as an associate attorney working at my, you know, my parents' legacy firm or my mother's legacy firm, she was like, well, we can't pay you. And I'm
yeah,
like,
there's no work coming in.
yeah, there's no work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so what do I do now? She goes, figure it out. And I did.
Yeah.
And obviously she wasn't that like mean. She helped
Of
me along
course.
the way and I used her as a resource. But yeah, that's when I created my own law firm, which is like, I'm going to start with traffic tickets. And then I worked my way up and I'll take some civil cases and I'll do some closings. And
Okay.
it put me in a better position for OnlyFirm because now I've had practical experience doing, you know, everyday law things.
Yes.
So when my client in OnlyFans, like an OnlyFans client in the middle of wherever in California says, I'm dealing with this particular issue, what do I do? Which is an issue that you or me would probably deal with, like a traffic ticket or an arrest, or I'm having a neighbor dispute. Even though I'm not the California attorney, I know California attorneys that I managed when I was doing the the UFC thing,
Yes.
right? Because I needed local counsel in all these states.
Okay.
So I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'll guide you through it. I'll quarterback this case. I'll tell you what needs to be done, and I'll tell the lawyer what needs to be done, and that's what you're hiring me for. So because I know how to handle a neighbor dispute, like with an encroachment, or I know how to handle a traffic ticket, that, you know, that's what a lot of these girls are coming to me with, like, help fix my life. You know, let me, or I just got a letter from the IRS saying I need to meet with them in person.
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
God.
you've got a problem, don't you?
Oh
yeah.
man. Okay, so now fast forward, we go back to it. That was your first client. She ends up not using you after a while. Good client though, you're happy about it.
Yeah.
And then you start, that's when I guess things start clicking again. You had your general practice.
Right. So
Okay.
like, it wasn't that she stopped using me. It's just like she didn't need me. Like,
You
on
did
constant
everything. You
Right,
set
like,
it up.
Yeah,
She was
exactly.
good.
Like,
Yeah.
you're good. Live your life. Call me if you need me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when I started focusing on my own, you know, older traditional practice, and it was going fine. And I was like, this is not 100% what I want to do with the rest of my life. And post COVID and during COVID, I didn't have to think in terms of like a year from now, 2 years from now. I didn't even think 6 months from now. I thought 1 month to the next, you know, that's it. Just focus on what I'm doing and making as much money as I can. And I was doing and continue to do like well with that traditional practice. And, you know, it got to a point where it's like, all right, well, I'm in Ellenville, New York. I love it here, but at the same time, there's not much going on. And do I want to spend the rest of my life here? And the answer is no, probably.
Yeah.
I would love a presence here, and I plan to have a presence there, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life there.
Yeah.
And I had to think about, what do I want to do? And I was thinking about, well, what did I enjoy with the skill set that I have and the experience that I have? What did I enjoy? And then it came back to like, well, I did really enjoy doing all that OnlyFans stuff. It's like, I don't know if anybody else is doing it. And I said, let's see where this goes. And, you know, I got a couple of referrals, and I started doing it. I'm like, this isn't so bad. I like doing this a lot. And, you know, from contracts to reading contracts to arguing with management agencies, shit like that. I'm like, this is fun, and no one's going to jail. I like this a lot. And it kind of, you know, and that's when it started really, you know, got to the point where it's at now, where it's like, okay, now I've got like a roster of clients, like I've got a book of business.
Yeah. Which is a good move, bro, because like there's a lot of people, and this is just in general, there's a lot of people that they felt what you felt and saying, do I want to live here, or do I want to stay here, or do I want to do this for the rest of my life? And they just stay.
Right.
And they just stay. And I know what you've done. You've invested in yourself. You invested to be here. You're investing in your new business. So that just goes to show, like, you really have to take that step. I think a lot of people just skip that step and they settle down and they say, well, what am I going to do? Go to and live in Miami? And then we're just like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can. Like, if like, depending on the kind of person, either you figure it out or you don't.
Yeah.
If everything I do failed tomorrow, okay, like, what am I going to do? Just stop existing, stop living? No, I still have to work, right?
Yeah.
Do something else.
Yeah.
And you get one shot at this. You know, at 30 years old, I guess that's kind of cliche to say, like, I hope I'm not near dying. Even
No,
my back
but
makes
I know
me
what
feel
you
like
mean.
I'm near dying.
Me
but,
too,
like,
bro. Trust me.
But like, you know, to say like, you're only gonna be 30 once also.
Mm-hmm.
You're also gonna, you know, like, now's the time to do these things.
Yeah, and you mentioned that too, that you kind of looked at the industry and it was much older, right? There's not many people that are in the niche now of OnlyFans, and if they are looking for help, they're just general practice lawyers that might be much older that don't see eye to eye with someone that's 25 years old.
So like, if you're in like a city like Miami, for example, or any major city, you're gonna have a tough time finding a general practice lawyer.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe there's somebody that does a little bit of everything. But when you're in a big city, it's easy to specialize in one particular field of law.
Okay.
You start finding general practice attorneys when you go into the smaller towns.
Okay.
And then they become like a jack of all trades, right?
Okay.
Which is what I had to become. But yeah, it's just like, if you look at those kinds of people who are general practice attorneys, they're probably in 60 or above.
Okay.
And they have no fucking clue what OnlyFans is. Why
Yeah.
would they? You know?
Yeah.
And
But
it's
it might.
just- it might. Like, shit, what do I know? Yeah.
But for the
I
other
don't know.
reasons, you know?
I've seen some crazy DMs on that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I could imagine,
Yeah.
right? So I guess you kind of saw that as an opportunity as well.
I saw that as an opportunity. Is like, I can bring kind of like a small town feel to a business where people need guidance, and there's no guidance that exists currently
In a brand new industry.
in a brand new industry.
I also look at it and I'm like, yeah, you always hear about these OnlyFans girls getting fucked, no pun intended. Like, and exactly, like, even if they were to go to Google, let's say, OnlyFans girls, guys, whatever, I know everyone's on there, but even if they were to go to Google and search OnlyFans lawyer or OnlyFans law firm, prior to you, who the fuck was doing that?
There is no one.
There's nobody.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, I feel like it's brilliant. Like, I truly
And then
think
you're
it's-
coming to the hub.
and then
The hub, like, yeah.
There you had that,
no,
another
no
pun
pun
intended.
intended.
Yeah.
You're literally coming to like I mean, it's here and California, like it's here in LA.
Here in LA, yeah.
Miami and LA, where they're most of these creators are in that industry. And then let's be realistic, it is the porn industry, whatever you want to call it, and like that, like, dude, billions of dollars.
There's billions. It's the oldest industry in the world. If you really think about it, you
Right.
know, like, and I would never want to live in LA. You could not pay me to live in LA. You could not pay me to live in New York. Like,
You can't even pay us to go to LA, to be honest.
right? Like, it's just like you just like grow, just like, God, I really have to fucking deal with this.
Yeah.
The traffic alone. But yeah, it's the oldest industry in the world. It's not going anywhere. It's been here and it's going to keep growing. And now it's in a way where it's like that girl from high school that you wanted to date. Well, she might have an OnlyFans, and like you want to pay to see her naked, you sure can. You know, like that's a different element to it now.
They've actually put they put the power back in the creators' hands in terms of that industry. Before you needed to be, I guess, because we've had porn stars on before you needed to be with the big boys, the big agencies, whatever they're called. I don't even know what the names are.
Oh, I know them.
But you know what I mean, whatever. But
Yeah, me too.
Shout out Brazzers.
but before you needed to be with one of those people, now it's like the power has shifted to the creator's hands. And like you said, that girl who was a fucking 10 or even a 6 in high school is now making $300,000 a month.
Right, you know, that 6 is a 10 to somebody.
Yeah,
But that's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, exactly. You have people literally, like, I've seen shit online, people making millions of dollars.
We had Katie Sigmund on.
Yeah.
Katie Sigmund on. She's 19 years old, 20 years old. She did, what did she do? 10 million, 18 months?
In 18 months, 10 million revenue.
Fucking good for you. And if you're smart about that, I guess you don't have to fucking work the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're smart about that.
But that's what's funny about that is she actually told us, she said the first year, I think she did 5 million. I think she did 5 million.
Only 5 million?
I know.
Right?
Wow. Right.
Come on.
And she did her first mill in the first 2 months. And she said she was speaking about the agency she was being managed with. And she's like, I realized I wasn't getting the amount that I was actually owed. She's like, the fucking guys who were managing me, driving around Ferraris, buying new Ferraris, this and that, off the back of my nudes.
Yep.
I'm like, that's crazy.
So there are some people in the industry, like we're speaking about. There are some bigger agencies, but it seems like a lot of the creators are having issues with them.
Yeah, and it's getting worse too.
Well, explain maybe for somebody, because I don't even really fully understand what is an OnlyFans agency? Like, how do they work with the creator, and then where do you come in?
Right. So, I mean, this might be news to people that are watching, and I'm sorry to ruin OnlyFans for you, but you are not talking to whoever you're subscribing. Maybe you are. You know, there's a couple that do.
Yeah.
But you were talking to a dude in the Philippines. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like that's making $1 an hour. Yeah.
Damn.
And they're really good at their job.
Wait, hold on. Can I ask something though? Because like, there's a part on OnlyFans where they're like, and we're gonna get explicit now, but they can rate the guys like.
Oh yeah. The dick rating.
The dick rating is so.
Yeah.
Is there a Filipino guy
Probably
rating the dicks?
Oh yeah. There's a guy like sitting in his like, I don't know, in his living room in like a folding chair rating dicks.
No.
And he's like, but you know what? Him rating that dick is putting food on the table.
Oh, lots of food.
Yeah, lots of food. Yeah.
I respect him. I know that
Yeah,
he gets it.
yeah.
It's just
Listen.
like, okay, so sorry, go continue. That's crazy.
fucking
That just blew my
jokes.
mind. Okay.
But like that's how it works. And but yeah, like this is a business at the end of the day. And there's a million agencies. There's new ones every day because it's quick money. It's easy money, and there's so much money in OnlyFans. Obviously, the talent's the talent, but like your reach is only limited by how many people you can respond to and how much content you can create.
Very true.
So all of these girls, I guess guys too, like they need someone to manage it for them. So they create content, they submit it to their agency, and their agency is the one that's posting it, just like any other social media marketing thing. They're the ones posting it, responding to comments, responding to chats, things like that.
Damn. So these girls, for example, are giving the agency their nudes or whatever. The agency's posting it on their OnlyFans. Guys are responding, asking for things, and there's a Filipino guy responding to
There's
that.
a Filipino guy like talking to his managers like, hey, we got another dick request today. What do we do? Yeah.
And it's funny because and further to just give more of an explanation to that business is like, it's all about the upsell. So like, I know people pay for the subscription and they get a certain amount of content, but then the way you start making real big money is like these girls message everybody, or the Filipino guy message everybody on the subscription list saying, hey, I just filmed a new video. If you want it, it's an extra
$10. This isn't included in my subscription.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all, and a lot of the times, I'm not 100% sure on this one. I think you can turn off the tip to message, but a lot of the times the guys messaging them have to pay a tip in order to submit a message. So any message just saying hi is $5.
Oh,
Wow.
shit,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, so they're getting rinsed, these
They're
guys.
getting rinsed, and they're just happy to do it. You know?
Okay. Well, I mean, you're representing the other side of that,
Yeah.
right? So how do these contracts look between the creator and the agency, generally speaking?
Generally speaking, you know, I see the more there's 50% usually. It's a 50% split, comes up more often than not.
Okay.
I think that's high personally.
That's fucking high.
But I'm seeing that a lot.
That's
you know,
industry standard, would you say?
I don't know if that's industry standard, and I say that because there's no like structure to this industry, right? There's just 22-year-old kids that are saying, I have my own OnlyFans management agency, come sign with me and I'll, look at how much I'm earning for this girl, and then sign up, and they'll say, give me 90%. And a girl that's really stupid is gonna be like, okay. If she had no money before, and if she's making $100,000 a month in her thing, and the agency's taking $90,000 and she's making $10,000, that's more money than she ever had, and that happens all the time. So it's
such
like
a
preying
new,
on people.
it's such a new industry that there's not really a standard technically.
I'm sure there is, I know a lot of the
20%,
agencies,
bro.
like they work together and they chat amongst themselves and like but yeah, like I would say the industry standard is somewhere between 30 to 50% per.
Okay. And now where do you come into this equation?
Usually when I get involved it's already too late. Where it's like, hey, I'm not happy with my agency. What do I do?
Contract signed
The
already.
contract signed. I was like, how do we get out of it? And I'm just like, well, if there's a will, there's a way. Let's see what we can do here. And I take a look at it and I'm like, this is your options. Okay. And sometimes the contracts are written so poorly, and because a lot of them, again, it's kids taking a contract generator from online and then using ChatGPT. Like I've seen ChatGPT more than I care to admit with this. Like, it's crazy.
I know.
And they say, sign this, and they don't think about it. They don't read it. They just sign it. And it's like, okay, you also have to give me control of your bank account. I've seen that a few times too. Whether that's legal or not, probably not. But like,
Control of your bank account.
I've seen where they get access to the girl's bank account. They take their cut directly. So they're basically sending themselves money from the girl's bank account.
In the bank account. Oh my God.
Would you
That's
recommend
savage, dude.
Would you recommend that you ever sign a contract that allows for that?
That's
Fuck no.
savage. Well,
Yeah.
like you said, it's like younger women that don't have, let's say, business experience, their first contract ever.
Right.
So what are some, let's say, the most common things that you've been seeing so far?
Like in the contracts?
Like in general in that industry that you've had to fix?
Right. That I've had to fix is just like really, really poor management, in the sense that they're not embodying their persona, or they're taking advantage of them. And when the relationship sours between the management agency and the girl, they start to like actively harm the girl's OnlyFans account, or they'll like lock her out, or they'll just start saying, I've seen ones where the girl and the agency didn't get along, and these agencies they're idiots, and they're like telling people, I'm under 16 years old, trying to have OnlyFans to flag the account so it gets shut down.
Wow.
Like, people are stupid enough to do that, and I have seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that also goes back to what you're saying about a lot of these agencies are 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Dudes living in a condo like this, a couple of their buddies, and they're running these quote unquote agencies.
Now, going back to what you said earlier, is like, who understands this industry? It's those 20-year-olds. You're not going to get a 70-year-old guy or 70-year-old professional that's going to understand what the fuck that is,
True.
Fuck. That's jokes, man. So I guess, like, in terms of like what advice would you give someone that's maybe starting off to look out for? Like, any common things that they should do? Obviously, the contract's huge.
The contract's the biggest one.
It's like showing someone a contract,
just
right?
know who you're dealing with, one. And also, like, read the fucking contract. Like, I know that, of course I'd read a contract, but they don't.
Yeah.
And they don't. And then it's like, oh, what do I do now? And like, calendar the fucking dates too. So like, there's a lot of the time these contracts have an automatic renewal clause. If you don't send appropriate notice, the contract automatically renews and you're stuck in it. So, just, you have to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
And also do your research. Just because someone's really friendly and they're showing you screenshots of how much that they're
could be
making
Photoshopped, man.
It could be
Come
bullshit.
on.
But
Yeah,
like,
that could be all Photoshopped.
you have to understand the naivety of, like, I guess these girls that never been in this or in a professional environment before. Not that this is really that professional, but like in a business transaction before. And it's just because someone's pretending to be your best friend doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart.
True. Well, I think it's at this point, it is a professional industry. Like, And we were talking too, like you even said it's like they're like athletes at this point. That's how you look at it. It's just,
I look at them like they're baseball players.
Yeah.
Like that is how I view them.
Because it's
like,
the same kind of structure and processes as an athlete.
with just less regulation.
True.
Right? There's no players association for OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Maybe we should make that.
I was
gonna say, you think
up.
that would be something in the future? Like a union?
Union for OnlyFans? I don't, I mean, like, honestly, probably.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's happening anytime soon, but I could see that. Like,
Yeah.
Like SAG or something like that.
And even now, I guess comparing this, because like you've done a lot of cases, like criminal cases and stuff like that. Now comparing it to now what you're doing now, is there any sort of comparison?
Well, sometimes there's an element of criminality to the things that I have to see.
True.
And then they're all allegations, right? These aren't, unless it's on paper and someone's been arrested for doing something, it's an allegation of wrongdoing. But I do hear horror stories, like sexual assaults, things like that, as from the agency to the creator, because there are predators in this industry. That is the nature of this industry, unfortunately. And a lot of people put themselves, and I don't like to say like, it's like a victim shaming, but you don't take the proper precautions to protect yourself, especially with how sensitive and I guess exploitive this industry can be. Yeah. It's like, it's sharks. You're jumping in with the sharks.
Because like, can't you just like, and I think this is actually happening with these bots and stuff. You know, those bots that just follow you and it's like an OnlyFans girl. It's like, I feel like someone just copied all their content.
Yeah, I get
right?
them. I get them every day.
But you see, that's someone just copying someone else's content and just making a new name.
Well, there's a
or
strategy with that. Like, are you talking about like the DMs?
Like, yeah, there's DMs. There's like bot accounts that follow you, and it's like, oh, who's this Rocket?
Right.
OnlyFans
like,
girl.
I see the same one. I've gotten like tens, like Sophie Rain.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so Sophie Rain, if you're listening, I'm getting a shit ton of these.
Yeah.
But I think what that is, actually, I know what that is whoever's managing that agency. What they do is they use bots and Instagram bots to spam people who fit into a certain algorithmic criteria to get you to.
That's
yeah,
me.
right. Yeah, same. Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't really get these two.
That makes sense.
Because they go off of who you follow.
Yeah.
So if there's someone similar, then you're going to get a message.
True.
And from what I understand, that works very, very well.
It does, yeah. They're
Yep.
getting him.
Sophie Rain, you gotta let us know if that's doing well.
Working really well.
Yeah.
I've probably been talking to some Filipinos in my DM. But even like, I'm more interested to go a little bit back, because I know you have some wild stories. We've talked about it off camera too. About even like the stuff before OnlyFans, some of the cases that you've had to encounter, even the criminal ones. Like talk to us about like a crazy one that you've had to go through.
I mean, to me, like, you get really not jaded. Well, yes, jaded, but also like numb to it. But like, I've had armed robberies where like people fucking break into the house and ski masks and have loaded guns and beat the shit out of them, tie them up, steal money and leave.
Oh my
like,
God.
I've dealt with that. Like,
damn.
And just complete fucking idiots. But it also goes all the way to, I have a civil case right now where a roommate suing the other roommate because the one roommate stole her cats. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you a retainer to go and sue. And like, okay, like, let's do it. I was in court the other day for it. I mean, it's just,
I could just imagine
ridiculous.
you listening to that and be like,
the judge was looking at me like, is this serious? I'm like, oh, it's serious.
Yeah.
All the other lawyers in the courtroom were laughing, and I'm like, hey, I got paid to be here and I'm gonna do it. We're gonna get these fucking cats back.
and so like, I guess at this point now with the Only firm and now you're going into that world, what does your mom think about this world?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, well, like, what do my mom thinks?
Like about you going into this world?
She thinks it's fucking brilliant. She loves it.
She's a businesswoman.
Yeah, she's a businesswoman.
There you go.
Like,
yeah.
She is probably, like one of my biggest role models, the biggest role model, and someone that's very close to me. And she wants to be part of it as well. And whenever I have an opportunity to say, hey, I need your help, I go to her for advice too.
Of course.
She's got 30 years of experience. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't I use that? Same thing with my uncle, partners with my mother.
Of course.
Between them, they have, and there's no one better on earth when it comes to the copyright litigation stuff than those two.
Yeah.
You can look them up.
And that's a
They're
huge,
all over the
that's a huge advantage for you too,
Absolutely.
as a younger lawyer.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I leaned on that heavily, especially when I started. And I know a little bit at this point,
Of course.
but to have that as an additional resource is huge.
And
That's
I'm
true.
curious, do you ever get worried about like the brand? Like, I think it's brilliant, but obviously, again, like you mentioned, it's a very cutthroat and industry, and a lot of people look at the porn industry in a good light. It's not fucking holy. You know what I mean? Do you ever think about that? Like, fuck, how is this going to affect me? You're obviously not the content creator, but you're working alongside these people.
I don't care.
No?
Like, what someone's gonna judge me? Like, at the same time, I'm in Miami right now, and I'm like here having this conversation with you guys. Do you really think I care what your opinion is?
Yeah.
Like, it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
I didn't get into law for the love of law. You know, like I'm trying to make money here too.
A fuck ton,
Yeah,
actually.
a fuck ton, actually. Yeah, a metric fuck ton.
There you go,
yeah.
right? No, but that's how I look at it as well, to be honest, because when there's an opportunity in business and like you can't really think too much about it. If there's an opportunity and you can make money, you have to take advantage. Someone else will.
If a door opens, why not go through it?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt.
It's not like you created OnlyFans.
Right. You play the cards that you're dealt.
I wish I did though. Fuck.
You know, I actually had the idea for it when I was like 15, 16.
Stop. In the
I
shower
swear to
again?
God, not the shower. I remember I was in Cape Cod of all places.
Okay.
And it fucking hit me. I called a friend of mine and I was like, yo, what do you think if we made a site where you can get like your favorite celebrity or like favorite, whoever girl to like do whatever you want?
Yeah.
And that was the idea. And it's like, that's fucking brilliant. I'm like, and that's back when like Kate Upton was like, and I emailed her. I'm like, hey, I have the best idea for this. And then maybe I want to know if she's like a part owner in OnlyFans and stole my fucking
I would have paid for Kate Upton. That's for sure.
right?
Fuck.
And then to segue off that, like, it's funny. Obviously, we're working with you on the social media side of things as well and content, and like, it's so funny. Like the comments you leave on people's fucking like content. You guys have seen him for sure if you're listening or watching. It's hilarious. Yeah, dude. You don't give a fuck.
I just don't fucking care.
Yeah,
like that's also what I think makes me successful in what I do. I'm not here for your opinion. I truly don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm going, and I think that all PR is good PR. I took that from Trump. Like that's
of
like,
course.
Any sort of exposure is good exposure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and I want to have a good time too. Like it's the internet. I can't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Has there been anyone like that you've worked with or anything like that has been like, yo, like, Alex, what are you doing with this stuff? Like, you really nah?
Maybe my grandparents.
True.
They're at the country club. Like, oh, what am I gonna tell everyone that my grandson's the porn lawyer? I'm like, yeah, go.
And he makes a lot of money.
Yeah, right. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm paying for your lunch. What are you complaining about? Yeah,
of course. No, I honestly think it's genius, bro, and it's an industry that's already started. It's new. It's going to keep growing. You're in the heart of it. And that's the next thing I want to talk about is Miami, right? Like your experiences so far in Miami, even compared to New York, because I think it's very similar to Toronto. And like I said, we get a lot of people asking us like, hey, like, how's it in Miami? Why do you guys like it so much? So maybe talk about your experiences in Miami and why do you think, and you even said too, like, this is the next hub. This is what LA was.
Yeah. I think that this city is going to be more important than New York within 20 years.
Wow.
I believe, I told you this yesterday, don't quote me on it, but I think there's more banks in Miami than any other city in the world. You have access to all of Latin America, which is a huge growing market. And it's the hub. It's like literally like you need to come through Miami to get to anywhere else in the United States if you're coming from Latin America. All these financial industries are building buildings here. I don't think it's sinking into the ocean anytime soon if they're investing in it. I think they would have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
But
billion-dollar buildings.
Yeah, exactly. But like if you think about it though, and I'm sure you see it too. When you go outside here, even downstairs, like there is an energy that you can feel, which is there's people here for either vacation or just hustling. They're here to make money. It is there is definitely an energy in the air. There's always something happening. It's just a good place to be. And like, I think LA had that feeling. You can even go back 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, I think LA had that for a while. But now when I go there, I feel like depressed, honestly.
It's politics, bro. That's what happens,
But I think like, and I want to ask you about your opinion on this. Like, I got a DM yesterday, saw whatever, I posted on the balcony. And so fucking love Miami was what I put. And some guy goes, hey man, whatever, enjoy yourself. But, it's a party city. Don't get lost in the sauce. Like, make sure you're grinding. And I'm like, and anyway, I responded to him, but I think that's like the big misconception, and it's changing now. But of course, listen, is Miami a party city? 1,000 fucking % it is.
One of the best.
People come in and out of here for 2-3 days just to blow their load and leave.
And that's great. Like,
awesome.
But you can do that anywhere.
100%. Yeah. But on the flip side of it is like, there is so much business being done here on a day-to-day basis right now. Like, and there's probably a statistic, but this is the Anthony Strella statistic, is that there's more fucking money here right now in a concentrated area than there is anywhere else in America or North America, like, for that point.
Look at the fucking cars downstairs. Like maybe one guy owns them and it's just people renting them for the weekend, which is also like,
but even
possible.
Renting them is expensive.
Yeah. You want to pay $800 a day.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of money concentrated, and it's not even just like in Brickell, right? Yeah. It's go outside, it's just every's going on. It's all just one, like from West Palm Beach to here, it's like one giant city essentially.
Yes.
Right.
And it's funny, like we were talking about the SLS building in Brickell, and you were saying like you're interested in looking at purchasing there. We were looking at grabbing a condo there too, and like it's literally a building that's full of fucking creators.
Right.
So you're like, where else can you get in Toronto? I'm sure New York has that to some extent. Toronto, no chance. There's no
Right,
no
like the
fucking
nicest
thing like
building in Toronto.
Doesn't
like,
matter.
yeah.
No one's there.
Well, it depends what you're paying for, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was interested, and we talked about this, like that building, and still remain interested in it because of the access and who you're going to be rubbing shoulders with in the elevator, right?
That's
Who
it.
you see in the gym. Like, there is an inherent value to that for someone that's maybe in what we do, which is social media face driven, right? That same value doesn't necessarily exist for everyone, but some people want to be close to YouTubers and celebrities and OnlyFans girls just because they want to say they want to be close to them, right?
Yeah.
They
But
want- they
even
want the hype.
think about if you own a car rental company, you own a fucking water company, and now you're in the elevator with a guy who has 50 million subscribers. They like you could strike a deal like this.
And all they have to do is like you.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right, like if you have like a decent personality,
That's
and it's
it.
just like, hey, what do you do for a living?
That's
You
how
do
it
your
works
job?
here. That's how they do work
It
here.
works everywhere.
I know.
Like, you know, but like it's funny because a lot of what we're talking about today is all based on online interactions.
Yes.
I still think there's no substitute for face-to-face interactions.
Oh,
course.
of course,
You know?
100%. But sometimes you get to that face to face because of the online interaction.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
here we are right now.
Yeah,
Because that's how we did it,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But now it's like, okay, imagine you put yourself in a city, Miami, for example, where you're building your online presence, you're connecting with people online, but then you're also in condos or elevators or areas in general where these people just live their everyday life.
Right. Like, you know, you can like idolize this person who's a YouTuber and you have this perception in your head of what they do on an everyday basis. Maybe it's just creating content all day, but they probably, you know, they have to go to the grocery store, they
Yeah.
go to the gym.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody in that environment, like maybe you have a conversation. It's like, oh, I also buy that brand of cereal when you see it in the elevator or something like that.
Yeah.
And those relationships and like there's value to that. It's social capital.
It humanizes, it really humanizes people.
Well, they're
And I
just
feel like-
walking around over here.
no, but that's what I'm saying. That's
Which
what I
is
feel
sick,
like. Dude,
you know?
I'm look, we're
It's
walking.
not like LA. You gotta look into the hills with the binoculars. Yo, is that
They do
is
the-
that
the
Diddy's
tour
house over there?
buses. Yeah, yeah, I don't want to go to Diddy's house right now.
it's like even from the level of like we're seeing guys who are literally getting hundreds of millions of views on Instagram, whatever, TikTok, this and that, and it's like Brickle Saturday night. You're walking around, they're just there,
Right.
Like they're just walking around, either dressed up nice or going out, or they're in their fucking flip flops. Like
It's because there's a volume of them, so they're all like comfortable doing that.
yeah, being around.
Well, I think
there.
it's like, you know, talent attracts talent. And like,
yes,
I think that when you have a bunch of people that have talent and have found success, they're going to follow that. And that's why everyone's here because, you know, it's friendly to people that are making money. And it's also just clean. Like if I was walking around, downtown was a little sketchy last night. But,
downtown needs to clean up here,
Yeah.
for sure.
They'll clean it up. I'll get there.
But Brickle,
Yeah, but Brickle, like if I was to walk down in the middle of Manhattan, it was like, there was the other day, I was walking in Manhattan and a dude comes up to me screaming and I'm like, what the fuck? And I look at his face like, what's that on his face? It is human shit.
Oh my god.
Right? And I'm just like, I'm fucking done. I'm not doing this.
Well, when
Blue States,
we were in
Blue
we
States.
were in New York when last fall.
yeah, October, September.
Yeah, it was kind of rough, man.
No, it is rough. It's blue states, man. And you come here and everyone thinks it's like is Miami the Wild Wild West in its own regard? Yes,
Yeah, I
it
mean-
is. Like
But if you're a savage, this place is for you. You know, like.
but at
Yeah,
the same time,
you know?
literally, and but it's also a red state. Like it is safe to some extent. Yes, obviously there's pockets in anywhere that are fucked up.
But that's also about being smart.
Yeah,
Right?
well, there you go.
Like
Yeah.
maybe you don't put yourself in a position that you're going to be compromised. You know, like there's a common sense element to it as well.
Absolutely.
People fuck up, people make mistakes. I understand that too. But like if you're looking for trouble, you will find it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even like now, I want to go more personally. Like on a personal level, obviously you've done a lot the last 5-10 years. How have you been able to kind of balance your life out?
So
Because we always talk about that work-life balance.
and I
you
do
know?
think it's important.
Yeah.
And right now, I would think that, or I would not think, I know that my work-life balance is not optimal right
Yeah,
now.
it's
and
skewed.
But I've made that choice,
Mhm.
right? I know what I want 5 years from now, and maybe, you know, I'm okay sacrificing a little bit of what, you know, my personal time to do that.
Yeah.
I still think that my personal time is extremely important. Like I was telling you, like if I don't get my 8 hours of sleep, I'm not a happy camper.
Yeah.
I will not function well. Like I
Yeah.
need that.
Good.
But, you know, the nice thing about what I do when it's not criminal related, you know, criminal is a little bit of the exceptions rule, but with the OnlyFans stuff, nothing's a true emergency.
Yeah.
Unless someone's dying or going to jail, and even if you're going to jail, it's not an emergency. it's not a true emergency. Just because you're not happy in a contract or you think that someone's stealing money from you, no one's dying tomorrow, right?
True.
It's like, I can handle this in the morning.
Okay.
And oftentimes I have to put that in perspective for my clients where it's like, take a deep breath, take a step back, go get something nice for dinner. Let's talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
You need a cool off period.
Yeah. So what is the goal for you?
I think the goal for me is I want to be here full time and I want to be doing OnlyFirm exclusively.
Okay.
But where it goes, I haven't even given that thought either.
Yeah.
I mean, can I retire in 10 years? That's the real goal.
Yeah.
Right? But even then I think I'd get bored. But I'm not sure what the ultimate goal is right now. I want to just ride the wave as far and as long as I can.
Yeah.
But I want to be here full time because I think it's the place to be.
Yeah.
So you believe that you can actually build, I know the brand is OnlyFirm, but you think you can really build a firm around this business?
I do think. And I think of it more as a consulting firm than I do as a law firm. It's a consulting firm, like OnlyFirm is registered as a consulting firm.
Okay.
But I'm just happen to be an attorney with experience, in the legal field. So I bring that perspective to it.
Fair.
I don't want to be the one doing the actual filing motions and arguing in court. I don't want to do that.
Of course.
I don't enjoy that. That's not me. I will do that when it's appropriate. But as far as what I'm doing here with OnlyFirm, I want to be a resource where it's like, I have a problem. Alex, can you fix it? And I'm like, this is how you get from step A to step B. Let's do it.
Yes. You know what? It was funny. We had a conversation with somebody yesterday, just talking about how consulting is like the true, you want fucking financial freedom and you want your life, you want the balance in your life.
The freedom, yeah.
Consulting is the way to go. Now, you got to eat shit. You got to put the fucking countless hours in for someone to believe that it's worth it to pay you for your knowledge.
Right. Like that
That's the
worth
difference.
being consulted with.
Correct. So you can't just start tomorrow, have no business experience, and be like, yeah, I'm a consultant. You're not going to
plenty of people do though.
I know.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
and somehow make money, but that's the fake it till you make it thing. But at the end of the day, for longevity in that type of business, consulting in general, you got to eat shit. You're going to have to go through, learning it from the bottom up and vice versa. And you will get to a point where you have enough of a what's the word? Enough of a background and knowledge, and you've done enough to be able to say, yeah, I'm worth $1,000 an hour, $5,000 an hour,
Right.
whatever your rate ends up becoming, right?
And if you don't think that, that's fine. Go hire somebody else. But
Very
you can
simple.
tell people to go eat shit and die, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
kind
sure,
of already do that to people. I don't fucking care.
Dude,
but,
your comments. We're gonna throw up some of your.
and
fucking
I'm
comments.
sure too. There's been times, maybe not yet, but there might be a time where someone comes to you, they don't want to pay the price, they go someone cheaper, then they end up coming to you again.
It
anyway.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's just you could have saved money. Cry once instead of crying twice. Just fucking pay it, dude.
Yeah.
I got to make money too.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
but-
and I was super impressed because when we first spoke, you realized the power of social and even your personal brand, which was very rare for me to see in that industry. Like a
in
lawyer in law, right? Because we've never had a lawyer. We've had law firms that we've worked with, but personally, someone saying hey, I want to build my personal and be out there. Where did you see that importance come in?
So I was approached by an agency that's local in the Hudson Valley by me saying, hey, we do this for a couple other lawyers. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I think I am interested in it. But, and that's actually, but I said, I'm not really interested in doing it for my practice as a lawyer. I'm interested in doing it for the OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And, but we piggybacked it off of Alex Lonstein Law.
Of course.
And put it into that. And they're great. I love them. They're fantastic. And if I want, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, I would still use them,
Yeah.
But as far as the value that it provided by having the videos, well, I noticed when people start saying, Alex, those videos are so good. Wow, I think that's so smart. And I was like, maybe there's something to be had here. It's just it's that online presence that you have. I guess people put it in their heads as that's what you're going to be like in real life.
Of
right?
course.
So
It's your first impression for a lot of people, and then they meet you in person. And that's what happened with us. We met you. We're like, this guy's the exact fucking same. I love it.
Oh, that's what you really thought that? Because
Yeah.
I had a client actually who I met. Yeah, I saw your videos. And I was like, thought you were really scary. I'm like, really? You thought that?
I think maybe because we spoke on the phone a bunch of times
Yeah.
too, we had a laugh, but no, you were just the same in person. But it is very important. And there's people to this day that still don't believe the personal brand side of it. But your exhibit A, even the industry you're in. And I'm sure you've even got some inquiries from your socials.
I have. I've gotten some pretty
And-
fucking crazy ones like, help, I need a divorce immediately. I was like, yeah, I can't help you with this. but yeah, it helps because So this was funny. I had a client who, for DWI, she goes, "Oh, I saw all your videos for copyright. I didn't realize you did this." You know, and I was like, "Yeah, I do." Yeah. You know, so
all it takes is one person to see it.
The best was when I was in Montreal and I was on Hinge and I matched with the girl. She goes, "I saw your TikTok videos," and I was like, "I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing."
Yeah,
no, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. I think it's funny. We were talking yesterday about the views and things like that, and I think what people fail to remember is like they're like, "Oh fuck, I only got 6,000 views. You know, this guy's getting 1 million." It's like, put into perspective how many people 6,000 people are. Like a state, like, you know, oh, I only got 20,000 views. This guy gets 150 every video. Hold on a second. 20,000 views is the same as the Kaseya Center where the fucking where the Miami Heat play.
Yeah. Think how many eyeballs that is.
Like, think about that. If you stood in the middle of the fucking arena and 20,000 people were looking at you, you'd be fucking nervous as hell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't even, and I could be 100% wrong on this. Like, I don't care how many views a video gets because I think you need to just keep posting it until something becomes right.
You're right. Yes. You're right. And again, we always say this too. It's like one person watching could change your whole trajectory of your business.
Absolutely.
Right. So who cares? At the end of the day, a lot of people do that. I mean, we do that too. Sometimes we're like, fuck, like, why didn't we get that many views? And we should have got more views. But then you get a message like, oh, dude, I watched that episode and it changed my life.
Right.
Or I watched that reel and like now I started my business. And I'm like, thank God we posted it.
Yeah.
You know, it's also industry specific too, right?
Of course.
So like you guys are much more like social media focused and forward than I would be. Like, yes, I have a presence and it's an important aspect of what I do. However, my job isn't necessarily to be posting on social media and getting as much views as possible.
Of course.
Mine's more like, hey, of course I want as much exposure as possible. And one person watching this, it needs to be the right kind of person in order for me to make money also. But if you don't have that presence, no one knows you exist.
Correct.
And you have no idea who that viewer, who their friends are, and who they say, hey, you need to check this out.
And like you said too, all they have to do is like you.
Yeah.
So as long as you're there, it doesn't really have to even be about your service that much. As long as they connect with you on some sort of level where they're like, oh, I like the... We see eye to eye on this, or we both like this, or we both like fish. You know, it doesn't matter, right? Like, as long as they find a connection.
If they like fish, I'm gonna like them too.
The service comes last, right? We've always said that, where it's the first impression. Do they like you? Can they connect with you? Then the service is easy after that. Once you build that trust, whatever you're selling.
Right. The service is the service. You know, anyone, if you give them enough specificity, can do the service. But yeah, like you need to create the cultivating the relationship is the most important part.
Yeah.
You know. And I know we said it before, but I think that the art of talking face to face and like people skills is a lost art at this point.
Of course.
And there are people, like I think you guys are some of it, that can take the online version of that and convert those people skills in person as well. But I think I've dealt with a lot of people that have no idea how to have a conversation, even on the phone or like face to face.
But that's 2024.
It's crazy.
And
I mean,
welcome
it's
to the
only
Matrix.
Gonna get worse. It's only going to get worse as the kids growing up now are just on
like
fucking
the
TikTok.
iPad kids.
Yeah, iPad kids. Yeah. But again, like, you know what? That's where we have the advantage where it's like, okay, if we can garner some sort of attention and views online, and when it does come to meeting these people in person or Zoom calls or whatever, they're like, holy fuck, this guy's normal.
Right.
And that's really all it takes.
Yeah.
It's also for efficiency, to be honest, because like once they meet you after following you for 6 months, they're not asking you questions about your business. They know.
Right. They know what I do.
You don't have to sit there and explain, oh, this is what I do. They know. They're going to know things that you didn't even know they know. You know?
True, yeah.
And it's same thing. We meet people all the time and they're like, yo, like this, oh, I saw you went there or this. And we're like, what, you knew that? Like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah, that's like,
you know, but at the same time, like it's the bittersweetness, right? Like you're gonna pick your poison, right? So we've done that for so long, and it's great because you sit down with someone and it's straight to the good stuff,
right?
You know, so
you don't need to go through like that whole get to know you phase.
Let's do it. Let's do 5-6
do it
dinners. We'll do a
Yeah.
boardroom meeting, 5 Zooms, and now I feel like I remember
Right.
your name now.
Well,
You know,
go
like,
my
Exactly.
Instagram.
It's like, oh yeah, you're that. You know, you're that guy. Yeah.
when you could have just met in person, you know, one time.
You want to know me? Go on my Instagram, watch fucking 20 of these reels, and you'll know everything you need to know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I try to save some of like, you know, when you call me, you're gonna get not a different person, but you're gonna know different things by calling.
Yeah, fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're getting a sense of who I am when you see my presence online, but you don't necessarily know what value I'm going to bring to the table until you have that conversation. With me.
Yes.
Rapid fire time, baby.
Boom.
Okay. I'm
Fire
gonna
it
start.
up.
I'll start. What's your favorite hobby outside of work?
Does my fish count? My saltwater fish
Of
tank?
course it
Okay,
counts.
That counts.
But elaborate on the fish.
So like, I love my saltwater fish tank. I think my parents think I'm fucking crazy. Like, I spend too much time and way too much money on it. I have like a full aquarium in my house, and I've probably spent tens of thousands of dollars on like corals and shit and like equipment at this point.
So you're gonna have to bring them to Miami.
I thought about that. I'm still thinking about that. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might have to sell them and start over, and that's gonna kill me on the inside.
You might have to get a private jet to just bring
People
them.
do that though. People like actually ship fish.
Yeah,
I've seen that like from home to like their new place, and I'm like, I don't like them that much. You know, like,
I mean, you could just go to the water here. We'll grab some new fish. We got you a new aquarium.
I watch plenty of YouTube videos of people catching fish and putting them in their fish tank.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, saltwater fish. Boom. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Probably Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson. Okay.
That's in the bloodline almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like that. I'm biased, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was telling you guys earlier, my grandfather did the last interview with Jackie Robinson.
Crazy.
So, and obviously, and that was podcasting before it was podcasting, but if you listen to that interview, it's incredible how much of the same themes today, at least with like civil unrest and things like that, were repeating themselves. And it's very, I don't want to say predictive of the future, but like
history repeats itself.
It does. Yeah.
Damn. Okay, we're gonna listen to that.
This is an easy one. Miami or New York City?
You don't need to finish the question. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to finish.
Easy answer, right?
Easy.
All right. Favorite movie of all time?
I have been going a lot of back and forth. I was going like either Hidalgo, but I think I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings, the second one.
Legend.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people can agree with
the
you on that.
extended edition, though.
There you go.
I need 5 hours to finish it. Yeah.
You kill me, man. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Okinawa.
What's that?
It's an island in Japan. I think we have a military base there.
Okay.
But like because my Instagram reel so fucked with all the fish and shit that like I was like, yeah, I want to go and snorkel with those. Yeah, I want to see that. But I also want to go there, and I think it's like kind of tropical, and I've always wanted to do
Sick.
Japan.
I never even heard that.
Okay. Okinawa. We gotta look into it.
Yeah.
What's your guilty pleasure?
My fish. I don't know. Like what like I don't feel guilty about anything. Like I don't like I thought about like
You
I don't know how
sleep
to
good
answer
at night.
that.
You
Yeah.
sleep well at night. No
Yeah,
guilty pleasures.
I don't really have a guilty pleasure. Whatever I like, I like.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I respect that. That's respectable.
If you weren't a lawyer, what career would you pursue?
Fucking plumber. You know how much money they're making right now?
It's my dad.
Such a great humble answer.
I mean, like they
too.
can actually do something. All I do is lie and bullshit.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's the truth.
Hey, you're the first truthful lawyer we've spoken to. Okay.
That's jokes.
One thing our audience should know about you.
I guess it depends how I answer that question. It's going to be a very lawyerly response. Is like in what capacity? If you're talking to me in a professional capacity, my motto is that there is a solution for every problem. You just need to figure it out, and you have to be resourceful enough to do it. And I very much subscribe to that method of thinking.
Okay.
As far as in my personal life, is that I don't take anything too seriously.
Nice.
I like that.
As you like, that's the
That's
way
a
to be.
perfect balance right there.
Like I like to have a good time too. You know, like
well,
yeah.
We'll see you at 11 tonight.
You've been talking a big game. Like I would go. Yeah.
Okay.
Comment below. Should we go? What have you learned as a lawyer that others can apply to their everyday life?
I learned that it's issue spotting. I get told or explained a lot of what situation people are going through.
Okay.
And I'm just waiting for them to tell me what the actual problem is.
Okay.
The biggest skill I've gotten as an attorney is I know where the issue is and how we go about it. The rest of it's just bullshit and just not important. Maybe the facts are a little bit important that led up to it, but issue spotting is the biggest thing.
Yes, being aware of the issues around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when somebody gets arrested and I hear about how their landlord hates them, I what does that have to fucking do with it?
Yeah.
Like I don't need the whole lore to your life.
Yeah.
I just need to know what happened and why.
Yeah. I don't need your whole journal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Easy one. Money or fame?
Money.
Money?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care about fame. Like, what the fuck do I care? Let somebody else have that. I don't want that much attention.
Yeah.
True.
Like me going on this podcast is actually like outside of my comfort zone. I don't like the attention from the videos, but I realize the importance of it.
Okay.
I think you're gonna end up liking it though.
I'll deal with it. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah.
I'll deal with it. One piece of advice you would give your 16-year-old self.
Don't resist working with your family so much.
Nice.
And like, even though everyone knows and you think that you want to create your own identity and, resist it and push back, embrace who you are.
Yeah, and where you come from. 100%.
Exactly.
And of course, we have our famous question. We are the MBH podcast, Alex, Money Buys Happiness. So we want to know today if you believe money buys happiness.
I don't. I don't think money buys happiness. And I've given this a lot of thought. I think money is a means to an end. I think it's an intermediary. I think you can find happiness. Like I was walking today looking at fucking fish, like I said a million times. And I was like, man, I'm happy. I'm like, I'm like, my autism satisfied. Yeah. Like, it's like, this is great. You know, like that costs me nothing. I think money helps, obviously. And I'm sure everyone says that it helps you get to where you need to be so you can acquire the things that make you happy. But I don't think it's necessary to be happy.
Fair.
So let me ask you one more then.
Yeah, sure.
If I gave you like 100 mil, what are you doing?
Like right now?
Yeah.
I'm probably buying the penthouse of the SLS. Okay. Like that's the first thing.
Yeah. I think you have to bite off Steve. We'll do it.
Yeah. Well,
I think you got him all. No.
Yeah, there's two of them.
Yeah.
I probably could beat them up. So but you know, I'd buy property for sure.
Yeah.
I'd buy a huge fish tank, and
I think you would buy like a real life lake or something at that point.
Oh yeah. I'd buy some stupid shit. You know.
Sick.
But you know, I don't know. Like I would buy property and like I would make sure that my family has enough money that they never have to work again. That's really the extent of it. Yeah. And I'd probably never fly on a fucking commercial plane ever again. If I never have to fly on a commercial plane, bro. I hate them.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the first thing you do. Yeah.
And if you had the 100 mil, I'm coming with you.
That's fine.
Buddy, I'm gonna be in the fish tank. I'll be swimming in the fish.
We're going scuba diving, bro. Yeah.
Alex, bro, appreciate you, man. Your fucking jokes, man. Love your energy, bro. Everyone's gonna love you guys. Go check him out. We'll drop all his links.
Yep. We'll have everything in the bio for you guys. And if you made this far, of course, you're not subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. You have any questions for Alex? Leave them in the comments. He'll get to you. And on that note, Jay.